Dr. Turner, I have a question.
Yes.
We just recently exited two kids. One was he hadn't taken special education for a year. Would that be, or directive service classes for a year, would that be something that would be considered as well? And the second question is, we also just recently exited another kid who has brittle bone. We exited her twin brother a year ago, and we just exited her like a week ago, but she hasn't been doing her classwork. So would that be an issue? We were planning on exiting her anyways, but then she, since COVID began, she has stopped turning in her work and things like that. So what would you recommend in those cases?
I would be the second case with the brittle bone, I would have probably never exited that kid. Does she not need adaptive PE at all?
Well, they moved her from special ed to a 504 to give her transportation.
Okay.
And I think she finished her PE requirements already. She's in high school.
Okay. But they moved her to a 504 plan. That's good. Now she's not doing her work. It wouldn't take much to convince a jury or a judge that there's a correlation there.
So during this time, like while we are on stay-at-home orders, it would have probably been wiser for the school district not to exit her, even though the plan was to exit her. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is a really weird time right now. So if this had not happened and she had continued to work in the classroom and do her work, you wouldn't have a problem. And this is where special education is not fair. It's really there to protect. The special education law is written for parents, and it's written to give parents the ultimate power to get the services they want for their child. So in this case, COVID has set you up to fail. If the parent, although they agreed, and they probably signed the IEP, they can still, for the next 2 years, come back and demand compensatory education if she does not start working. And it's not anything you did wrong. And the fact that you moved her to a 504 plan will probably make a big difference. But if you had completely exited her, you wouldn't have a case, and it wasn't anything you did wrong. And guys, that's probably the one takeaway I want you to take away today. You're going to lose cases, and you're going to do everything right, and you're going to lose cases. It happens, and the districts know it, the directors know it, the superintendents know it. This is not a law that was written to protect schools, not at all. Lorraine, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much. Good. I was a little bit concerned about that.
Yeah. Don't be concerned, okay? You made the best decision you could at the meeting, and the parents agreed, right? They signed the IEP.
Yes.
Okay. Just know that the best thing to do now might be to have the special education teacher and yourself, or the school psychologist, whoever wants to do it, reach out to the parents. Make sure those parents feel supported. Provide some help. Offer to modify the work and modify the 504 plan. But if you the problem with the 504 plan is that typically they're not implemented well. They almost require the special education teacher guidance to especially if there's any sort of academic modification. I would imagine they didn't put any academic modification in for this kid.
That is correct. Yeah. She is actually a very smart student, AP classes left and right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And she's not doing any work?
Well, for 2 of her classes, I think, like 3 out of 5 classes she's doing, but she's not doing all of her work in all of her classes.
Yeah. Okay. I would reach out and provide some help. Make sure the parents have someone they can talk to and somebody's giving them some good advice.
Great.
Otherwise, it's going to hang over the school for the next 2 years. And anything you do, document.
Gotcha.
Because you're going to need it in a court of law.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, guys, let's ask the question: can a special education student fail a course? We're done with our initials, and we did a quick review on the triennials, some prevention stuff. We got more prevention stuff coming up, but let's just stop and think for a minute. You've got a kid in special education, and they are failing a course. Is that allowed? Your answer to that question will determine how many fair hearings you go to. If we presume, and I just use that word because I didn't want to say assume, that the qualification category is correct, the interventions fit the child's needs, and they're being implemented with fidelity, the accommodations are perfect, and the services are spot on, and they're being delivered with only, just the occasional interruption, but nothing major. If all of that is correct, a special education student cannot fail. And that must be your answer. It must be your attitude. And it's the hardest thing in the world to get across to high school teachers. Middle school teachers, they get a little resistant. The elementary school teachers are right there with you. They know this kids want to learn. Middle school, well, kids get a little crazy, but the teachers are willing to go up and beyond. High school, it's all on the kid. And if the kid fails, it's their fault. Not if they're in special education. They cannot fail. Just adopt that motto, because any lawyer or attorney can prove it in a court of law. Real easy. Okay.